Sometimes with marketing, we try to get people to buy right away. You have to sort of build this machine that positions the brand and then people decide to buy. And sometimes we're very tactical and all we're doing is asking people to buy right away. The concept that's interesting is the concept of like asking for signals of interest or asking for just let me know if you want more information or you would want to participate or you want to be part of this club. You don't have to buy like the shares of the club right now. There's no entry fee. I just want to know, would you be someone who potentially could want this? And if you collect enough of those sort of signals or intentions, then you can say like, okay, maybe there's something here.
You're about to hear a conversation between two agency owners who collectively have over 30 years of experience helping brands sell millions of dollars. Enjoy the episode.
Bueno, you want to do your drum roll?
Marketing in Motion 2024. Are you ready? You want some more? Isaac and Romulo, buenos
Perfecto. We're going to use that.
Yeah, you like that? You like the 2024 edition of it?
And
Yeah,
how
we've been working on.
como rimo la vaina. Bueno, I have a few things. What do you have? ¿Tú tienes algo?
No, I actually got what you sent me, and I thought that was very, very interesting.
I don't remember.
So,
I don't remember.
oh, the large language models.
Oh,
How, like now the strategy with SEO is not like thank you Google for giving us the concept of what SEO should be like, but now with this machine learning, with AI and this, you have to make sure that you become more of an overall person. I don't know. I mean, you can start the content and I'll tell you my train of thoughts of it, but it was very interesting because I'm thinking that, especially for companies that are thinking where will my growth go in the next 5 to 10 years strategically, I think it's a very valuable to start investing right now.
Yeah, it's
Well, I think we have to explain the concept first.
Yeah, let's explain the concept. So basically the concept is we've always known sort of what to do based on Google's rules and what Google has been saying. It's never been super clear, but we sort of know how SEO is done, right? Like you write articles, you write text, you publish regularly, you try and answer the questions the audience has, you do meta tags. I mean, there's a bunch of things you need to do in order to
Every year, search engine optimization from where we began, where it was like, how do I rank myself in Google or in the internet back in the day was, oh, I am the first one to write, then you're winning. Then it became a content of what Google made happen with search engines that was like, okay, we're going to find what is the article or the content that is most relevant to you. So then they created this content of search engine optimization, which every year since then has either improved or changed, or there's an algorithm, things like a few years back, it was super important for your company to have reviews. And now they're not, they're important, but they're not as important as it was a few years back because they realized, well, you know what? I can also pay, a farm, outsource a farm in India, Asia, whatever. I think this thing, but anywhere, and then I can just say, like, please write me great reviews. And then they try to learn how to verify these people, and everything just fell through the cracks. So they do have a model that still feeds you the best information that they think that is the most relevant to you, including things like your location, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and so there's been all these tactics for SEO, for search engine optimization, so that you can rank high on Google. I don't think it's happened yet, but the fact that we're all going to start using more and more of these chats to answer questions will transform the way sort of that whole ranking system works, because the AI is now doing the search for you. And I know a lot of people aren't there yet. A lot of people still use Google. And I think Google will stick around, and they'll have AI incorporated and all these different things.
Or they will incorporate AI to their system. Yeah.
But it's just fundamentally different. Like the experience is different, and so and these companies are made. In the end, like there are these small differences that make these companies who they are, right? Because, for example, I remember when Instagram came out. Instagram was like, okay, so you have a filter and there's pictures, but like, if you looked at it logically, you would have said, well, Facebook has pictures. Like, Facebook adds a little bit of the capability of doing filters, and that's it. Like,
and Facebook at that time, you could actually write more characters than you did in Insta. Because a lot of people,
and you could link out, and like there's just, like, and everybody was already there, and it was
They
just
had
like,
a hashtag. I remember one of the biggest things was that, well, now you can search for things that you like because you can put hashtag love, and then you can find
yeah,
anything that you love.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, and if you had been sort of like a very very logical person, you would have been like, no, no, Facebook's just going to add filters. They've got the people, they've got like every network effects, whatever. I'm not investing in Instagram, right? Like it would have taken some additional insight to understand. Oh, wait, the consumer behavior here is different. People are actually using it differently. They feel like it's different because they're going in there. It's all images. There's no, I'm not linking out to an article. Like there's all these nuances that make it different. And so I think search is gonna have sort of the same thing, right? You go to Google for certain things, and then you're gonna go to your AIs for certain things, even if Google incorporates AI. Like I don't know, I don't think it's gonna play out the same way. I think Google is likely to be
yeah,
somewhat disrupted with AI, right? And so if we take that to the SEO world, like how are we supposed to, like how do I get the AI to recommend my company over my competitors? Like how do we play that game where we rank at the top, and if somebody's looking for a content agency specialized in B2B, et cetera, like how do we show up instead of somebody else? And I think it's difficult. Like I don't there's no
no,
straight.
what I came up with was, I learned. So the first concept was to learn about what an LLM was, and I'm like, well, an
Mhm.
LLM is a large language model. And I'm like, okay, well, so what does that even mean? And it's like, it's when AI starts incorporating more things into the concept, from trying to speak to you as a regular human, but also understanding things. So I was taking more of the approach of like, well, it's going to become like the whole concept of like holistic medicine, which is you approach your digital footprint or your digital fingerprint, as Castleberry expresses, and you try to create it so well rounded that then it becomes like a holistic. Like this is where my world is in the digital world, and you have the great aspects of. I have like good reviews. I have good, I have sent press releases to really important, like, I've been featured in this place and this place. Like there is goodwill of the people to me. I am also involved with the community, and it's gonna become a more of a like the AI will find you more into like a holistic, you know, approach, taking away things such as but still the SEO game is still like backlinking, and find out somebody who can write about you and all that stuff. But then here it's like, well, now you don't have to just kind of pay for it, but we also be aware of your interactions in the digital world. And I really love it because it's like, what, it'll probably it would figure out that you are a better match or a better project or product if you start like answering questions in Quora, have a
Yeah,
good link reputation. Like it became a whole holistic thing that is just not just SEO blog content
yeah,
and leave it
yeah,
to Quora. It's more of like you gotta play in social, you gotta play. I think again, digital footprint like everywhere.
yeah, yeah. It gets tougher because it's not clear like where the weights are, right? Like, is the AI going to look at my LinkedIn profile for the company and decide from that, or is it looking at my blog? Is it looking at my website? Or is it looking at the fact that I've been mentioned in Forbes? Like it's very difficult, and I'm assuming it's going to be like, well, it's sort of the summation of everything, right? Everything matters, but eventually we'll figure out, like we'll understand, okay, this matters a little bit more than this, and we start playing a different SEO game where it's like, okay, I need to go and participate in online forums, and maybe, I don't know, OpenAI is extracting information from, who knows, right? Harvard Business Review, or it's doing, I made a deal with these other
I,
10 companies there, right? What's that?
it's also going to be very interesting because let's say it is a game changer overall if you were really going to the macro, because if like, okay, so hi, I would like Time Magazine to do an article on me, and it's like, well, first of all, Time Magazine, the whole concept of a magazine that kind of died a few years back. There's still people get the magazine, and it's cool. When you run into a magazine, you're like, oh my god, you know. But even if you're like also like online and all that stuff, there was these people have they're part of like a Pulitzer. Like they have a huge like responsibility with good, how do you say it? Como que son buenos reporteros. Like they're very
Reputable.
um, they're reputable, but they also are like we're not just giving you news because of the sake of news. This is like, our we
Oh,
believe that reporting, like there is this ethical belief that, even in Time Magazine might be a little bit of a show contest, yes or no, whatever it is. There's still the articles are, hold to be in a reputable position for the journalism. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for the journalism world. You have to be a certain degree. So then it becomes, okay. So what is more reputable? Your Forbes, your Times. So it becomes that game, and that's for the big, your New York Times. So that's for the big people to decide what it is and what is going to be really legit. But then at the same time, you can also be a person who believes in flat Earth, and you go into these machines, and then you're just pretty much feeding it the information that you want to hear. And I imagine the AI will eventually just kind of give you what it is that you want. Or
yeah.
maybe you're saying, Romulo, like that can't happen because this is going to be a more holistic thing. If it is a more holistic thing and it actually helps improve the human race, that would be great. But at the same time, I think that it could also just be like, get your news from like a really right wing media channel, and then all you're going to listen is their train of thoughts and all this stuff. So I don't know. I'm being very critical, but I like this whole LLMs because then it's going to give you, it will prevent from you to getting what it is that you want, and overall the people who really took care of their social media, their digital presence, or are businesses that are good, ethical, or businesses that are good in the community, are going to get more exposure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's gonna like I would imagine it depends on the winning AI or the AI you choose to utilize because as you said, maybe there are people who are going to be like, no, no, I trust this AI, and maybe that AI is more right wing, or maybe it's so some people are going to pick and choose and say, no, this is the one I believe in, etc. And then
It's not even going to political matters. It could just be that I really like this AI because the answers are. I love it, the more world of entertainment, and this tells me more about what's really happening with Kim Kardashian.
right,
You know,
or it
and
has yeah, or it talks to me in a language that I'm more comfortable with, or whatever, right? But and so I wonder how that's going to play out. Like, are we going to all marketers going to be like, okay? If I want to capture, let's say it's the right wing AI people, then I need to be part of the information that AI is getting fed, so that the AI knows that I exist as a company and can recommend me when the time is right. And so if we go back, we have to say, okay, well then I need to understand where they got their training data from. So, for example, Grok, the AI Elon Musk is building with his other company, is using a lot of Twitter information because it's obviously like there's a synergy there. So, okay, so if I want to, show up on Grok, then maybe I need to really up my Twitter game, for example, right? And then how transparent are these companies going to be in saying we're using this data, this is the data we're feeding the AI, et cetera? Because originally OpenAI sort of said, well, we're calling it's got a lot of information from all over the web. It's very vague. We don't know. Is it the New York Times? Is it um,
that's
is
the
it
problem with Wikipedia right now. I mean, Wikipedia was a beautiful community involvement project where it's like, you know what? I think I need to change the wiki and explain that, this statue wasn't built in 1973. It was actually built in 1972. And, because I have proof of it and I can say, here's the source. Wow, thank you for improving our Wikipedia community. But at the same time, I can create my own Wikipedia and say that I invented the atom, you
right?
know, and somebody will find and dispute it, but most likely people are not looking at who, right, who everything is living with the atom. So I live in that world of that. So it is what you're saying. A lot comes with that, that information. And I think if if the AI just pretty much gives you the truth, like if I were to, actually, it would be interesting exercise to put ChatGPT, like, is the Earth flat? What is the proper way to tell me? It will tell you, well, maybe I'll be very polite and says, although some people believe that the Earth is flat, it there's been proof. I guess that there has to be some sort of that. But yeah, I do believe as people chooses to listen to certain media outlets, or choose to use their social media, or choose to do this, there's gonna have to be there's gonna eventually move into a realm where I do want this AI because this AI is a little bit more like me.
Yeah. I think it's So I think the basic principle of marketing is still applies, because back in the day it was like, okay, how do I how do I get PR and get people to know me, and show up at the local fair or whatever. Then obviously there's radio, TV, like these are the things people are consuming. How do I get in front of them? And also Google, it's like, okay, how do I put my content out there so that Google, when it crawls, it picks it up and it knows because it has backlinks. So I have to work with others and figure that out. And so the game is the same, right? How do I get in front of what people are consuming? This time they're consuming AI. How do I make sure I'm part of the training data so that the
It's
AI
really interesting
recommend
because
me?
you're saying this, and I'm thinking, well, Google had a big advantage because it's pretty much a monopoly. Like on that search space, it's not like anybody's going around binging. You're still using Google, but I think that now that you have, Google is competing against, Microsoft, big players. The Chrome is going to come out, and so all of these are going to come out. Then you're going to have more options to do where you want to do your search.
Yeah,
Google
yeah,
do definitely have the more
yeah,
content.
yeah. And it feels like it's like, I know Google will adapt and it'll probably add AI. It already has in some cases. Like if you Google some stuff, you'll get a little box where it's like an AI you can chat with and etc. But I think sometimes it's difficult to make that switch when that's not who you are in the mind of the consumer. Do you know what I mean? Like when these AIs start positioning themselves as like, you don't have to do the search. I'll do it for you. I'll give you the answer straight away. You can just read this. If you want to see the sources, they're here. Um, for certain things, like we talked about, right? If you want to maybe look for a location, then Google Maps is probably better, etc. But I think it's going to be tough for Google to like be something else, right? Like come up with a now or this too, right? We give you the answer straight away. I know it sounds like it's very similar because it already gives answers, it's got the little box and all these things, but but I've been using AI for a while and it's just fundamentally different. Like for example, just today we were talking about eating more plant-based, and I'm not a big fan, right? So I was like, okay, how do we, if we want to eat more plant-based, I would like a recipe that's more designed for people who like meat, like the meat lovers version of the vegetarian, right? And I was like, okay, if I have to search for that, I have to read a bunch of recipes and figure that out. But then also, I don't want tofu. Like I'm not a big fan. So how do I
So
do it?
you're saying okay,
Oh,
yes, you're saying real plant based. This is not like I am buying, magical meat.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that might work too. But let's just say it's just
No,
pure.
well, okay, that's a whole other conversation. Like
Yeah, yeah.
apparently,
That's a conversation.
apparently that's not as good as it is for you to eat. It's better for you to eat meat than like some of these magical things.
Maybe. Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe.
But like, let's just say it's just plant based. So I was
Yeah.
like, I want it to be something that's someone who likes meat would like, because I'm not used to all the flavors and everything from the plant based. I want it to be, I don't want tofu, and but I also want it. I want the right mix of proteins, because a big concern is I'm not having enough protein. So like, I want a recipe that would have like, if you mix this and this and this, you get a lot of protein and you're gonna
Like
get some plant based.
beans and legumes and blah blah blah. Yeah.
And so, and let's just say, for example, that I didn't want cheese or something. Like that's an instruction that's a lot easier to give to an AI
Yeah.
than it is to give to Google, because Google's going to spit out a bunch of articles, a bunch of pages, a bunch of things that I'd have to sort of scan through to see which one matches. Versus the AI is like, okay, of course, let me figure that out. It goes into its, like it matches this, and then it says, okay, if you want more protein, add this.
Yeah,
Give me,
you can say, hey, you missed the mark. Give me another one. You missed the
yeah,
mark. Give me another one until you get what it is you want. Yeah, specifically, you're right. Like there is, I've been using it since our last actually two. I think it was our Christmas episode.
like two
Since
episodes.
our end of year episode, I started using more AI for most of my just personal searches, and it is true. The fact that I don't have to like go directly into different articles and find out things is really helpful.
Yeah,
Now,
in 3 minutes.
yeah, I mean, and it gives you good direction. It
Yeah,
might not give you exact the direction, but it gives you a good. Well, now I didn't know why this. Now I know what it is. Then probably look into more into whatever. It happens especially with like if you were looking into like, hey, I am an example. I'm trying to find. So I have a DJ software, and then right now there are options that you can actually add to your DJ software for streaming music. Can't use iPhone, can't use Apple, can't use Spotify. I have Spotify forever. So that's going to be one of those growing pains. But then you can use SoundCloud, Beatport, or whatever. So I can, I can ask like, what is what most people are using out there, and the AI will give it to me. This is the most popular ones, and this is why. But then I have to go, and now that I have that general knowledge, then I can like go into specifically articles that reputable TJs or whatever are using on the street. So yeah, it is definitely I agree. To begin search, the AI functionality is much better than Google if you're not looking for example like a store or a map or that.
Right. Yeah. I feel like maybe if you look at a product, like there will be use cases. I don't think Google's gonna go anywhere, but I do
No.
think like their main business is I think it's at risk, not because they won't adapt, but because in the mind of the consumer, it's just a different relationship.
Well, they
They
have
want something different, and I might be wrong, but it seems to me like it's that's the kind of thing that might kill a big company like that.
well, or maybe becomes like Amazon, where the biggest money maker for Amazon is AWS, and then they did invest in this, what we call Amazon day to day, and it's like, I want a toy and having it today.
Mhm.
I think what Google has is okay. So let me give you 2 points. The first one was when I graduated. No, yeah, actually, when I my first internship in when I was in college was with Discovery Channel, and Discovery Channel was pretty much developing this educational content that was out on TV, and it was at that time it was one of the it wasn't like new, but it was new. But it was very content channel. And then National Geographic was going to jump in, and of course, it's a new competitor jumping into your space. But they were really scared because National Geographic has an archive of years and years and years of content, photography, and all that stuff that they can just say, you know what, we're going to do a show on pyramids, get 5 of the old ones, put it there, just send somebody that, and we're going to have that show of the pyramids will be produced in less time than Discovery. So it was a very, because they have content and they have these archives. So now that I see Google is definitely a huge archive, so you can't just disappear. But what I've seen is that more and more when we develop websites or content for our clients, the they're asking us to either go into Google Cloud or take our API and put it to Google Cloud or tie maps or anything to Google as itself. So Google and it's Google will still be a machine and engine that produces a lot of the content that they wouldn't be ChatGPT if it wasn't that content had this public information in the first place.
Mhm.
So I think that there has to be probably like el archivo, the
Yeah,
data archive.
yeah, yeah. No, I don't think Google's going anywhere, but it does seem like this is something they're probably looking into very seriously because it's again, it's not the technology, it's not it's the mind of the consumer, like the way we're interacting with these machines.
But it's like, don't you think that it's going to be like, Google 2024, Google 2025 is like, write anything that you want and we will provide you different options. You can, okay, ese brinco no puede ser, it can be that far. The jump can be that
Yeah,
far.
yeah. It's not, but it's sort of how like what I was saying about Instagram, or like it's Facebook had pictures, it could put the filter, like it's what's going on here. It's just the mode of consumption is different. So I think the user interface would have to change significantly from Google for it to be the new Google, right? And so they're probably having the innovator's dilemma at the moment, which is like I need to protect my current business, but this new thing
Yeah.
I need to make the switch, but I don't want to like there's billions of dollars here, so the how do I do that? And then
One thing too is that I was telling Valerie that since I started doing more of the AI work, yes, I am more efficient. Duh, that doesn't. But one of the things that makes me more efficient is less distraction. When I talk to ChatGPT, it's me having a conversation with the AI. It's not me having a conversation with the AI and then all of a sudden, ding, sponsored ad. Ding. Like, it's not like there's pop-ups, but you do have more distractions per se. When you are with ChatGPT, like it is what you're saying is true. There is no sponsored ads. If they move into that, it'll just be disastrous. There's like the free ChatGPT now. You can get free GPT with sponsored ads. You can watch this 30-second commercial too. Like that would be horrible.
yeah.
Hopefully, if you heard me, AI, please don't do that. You know, pero sí, sabes, un poquito más, I don't say intimate or private, but it's a little bit more. I'm just thinking of consuming because I do remember why I consumed Instagram rather than Facebook at that time. And it wasn't just like, oh, this is innovative, because as you said before, there was no real innovation, just that the scrolling was faster and it was just
Well,
less.
and also in the mind of the consumer, like this is a place that's more visual. It's got more like it's more beautiful to watch. It's easier to like consume. It's just pictures like that was just different. It was different from Facebook. Facebook was, status updates and text and videos and all these different things. And this was just more clear, right? It was just beautiful pictures from people, and then you can sort of browse through and see them. And there's an appeal to that. Obviously, there are probably more things, right, in the whole mix of why people were choosing Instagram. Like we'd have to go in and study that, but
Also, it also all goes with the technology. You know,
yeah,
pictures was something that you could grab a picture and take a picture with a Nokia 360.
yeah, yeah. And this,
Now anybody can do a video and put it in TikTok, and people are consuming this like, like crack.
yeah,
So I don't know if you saw Tim Cook's thing. He's like, look, we built the iPhone to like facilitate people's lives, not with the purpose of people just being having a life inside of the device. You saw that?
no, I didn't see that. No,
And Tim Cook, he kind of had, and I am just speaking on top, but he pretty much had like somebody interviewed, and he's like, look, we pretty much we built a product to simplify people's lives. We were not planning like our goal or the goal of the iPhone is not for you to spend your life on the phone.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
That's kind of sad. Yeah. See, so I don't know. I think it's again. I really think it's more like a psychological thing, and maybe Google can figure that out, right? Like they can change the UX and UI. You can like just Google, 5.0, and it's like a different experience. And
or it could just be Google launches Google.
right,
Google is your new site, but you're saying
you
then
can
you
have to
have to.
do everything, and then yeah, maybe it competes with Perplexity, which is also doing the same thing and showing, and it's got the sources. And it'll be interesting to see.
Perplexity was the one that you told me that if you were looking for something that needed some sources, that would provide. That's an AI that provides you the source,
Yeah,
right?
I think Perplexity is closer to Google than ChatGPT. So ChatGPT just tells you and you can chat with it. Perplexity is more similar to Google. That you ask the question and then it answers in text form, but it gives you links to the articles of where it's looking for the information, and then you can ask something else, and it has questions like follow up questions that it gives you follow up questions that you might be curious about. So you click on that and it explains it. Sort of. The thing is with B2C, I think it's more prone to like scams and people trying to like sell you something you don't really need. But if it we've been using it for B2B, and it works quite well because it's actually like a consulting, right? Like you're actually consulting the client and actually guiding them through like, are you ready for this? Do you have this?
And
What's this
which
is
one was the one that? Which one is the one that gave you sources? You were like, hey, this one gives you this one.
Perplexity gives you sources, yeah. ChatGPT can also give you sources if you are using the paid version. And so, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But it's just interesting. Um, and so going back to SEO, what we need to do to be positioned there is probably going to be like, okay, where are they getting their training data? If it's a Google AI, right? Called it Giggles or whatever. Giggles is Google's new AI. Let's say, then all the work you've done on SEO is probably going to help you because they're going to be using that as a proxy to say, okay, this is probably better than this other thing. Let's answer based on this article, not on that one. And like you said, it's going to have a ton of information from basically the entire world, right?
I think it's gonna, if it comes down to like basic academia and the whole act of like, okay, how do you get to a great school? How do you get to Harvard? Well, you have to be a good student, be a good community, be a good community leader, have something that makes you different and special, like things like that. And then that's who the person is who's applying for college at that time. With these LLMs, that was pretty much from the information that, from the research that I did and all that stuff, it just pretty much means that like, yeah, you have to step up your game legitimately into all different sorts of places that talk really well about you. I like it because it helps you become a little bit more accountable and not be so much of like, just throw money at it. I like that. At the same time, It's a little stressful because it means like, well, where's my game? I mean, I don't have any press releases, about created 180 right now that are new in the past few weeks. It also does stresses to me for my clients that they have to like say, look, you know what, hey, it's great, your social media is your social media really adding value, or is just a bot, somebody just putting stuff there in AI that is just like regurgitating what other people say and just in a pretty manner.
Yeah. 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 And how do you get enough information so that in the training data, right? Because it's going to have a lot of training data, like billions. So how do
I
you,
think this will also help to people who really invest in research, because then it's going to become one of those things that it's like, well, the AI can do a lot of. I know that it eventually learns how to do things, but you still need to feed the AI really good information. So people need to have to do research, legit, legit content, legit doing the research, journalism to really get to where you want to be to put it there, so that you become some sort of like the relevant thing. I
yeah.
think that the concept needs to be very, very well produced, very unique.
Um, so that's one thing. And then the other thing, I know we have like 10 minutes, but the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is something we're working on. It was interesting. Sorry, it's the idea of signals. And what I mean by signals is sometimes with marketing we try to get people to buy right away. And we talked about this last time. Remember, where it was like, okay, you have to sort of build this machine that positions the brand, and then people decide to buy. And sometimes we're very tactical, and all we're doing is asking people to buy right away.
So you're
And
saying like priming? Are we going into the priming concept?
no, no, it's not so much priming. It's more like maybe you can ask the market to signal their interest, not
Okay.
necessarily to buy from you today.
Okay.
And so, for example, we're running a test. We're running. They're called like it's like I don't know what they call it. Maybe quiz marketing or something, where you run quizzes or you run tests. And so you can run something that says, you know, how ready are. Let's say we're a consulting company, and we're consulting people on how to use AI, right? We could run a test that says, how prepared is your company for the AI revolution? Take the test. And the test is maybe, 20 questions. We ask you a bunch of things. You tell us, what the structure is, how you're preparing, what AIs you're using. Like, we can find out a lot of information. You take the test. At the end of the day, there's value for you because you're understanding how well prepared you are, what you're missing, what you might be missing out on, and it gives you like a score, and it gives you, sort of tips on how to improve, etc. So that's the value for you. But then in my case, it's, we're a consulting company that does AI consulting, how to prepare for the AI revolution. Now I have your contact information. I know how many employees you have. You've got your email. I've got all these answers to the questions you answered. Basically, I have all the answers. And in the test, maybe at the end of the test, because you didn't score as high, you could use our services. If you scored super high, maybe you don't. And if you scored low, maybe I could say, like, look, you scored quite low. We have this product or this service. Would you be interested in talking? Now you're more sort of probably more willing to talk to me because you've taken the test. You know you didn't score as high. You know that I know about this stuff because I designed the test. And so the test is sort of like a signal to me that you could be an ideal client and that you're interested in this world. But I didn't ask you to buy. I didn't say consulting services for AI,
Yeah.
like I didn't shove it down your throat and say, or I didn't just say like I'm an expert.
There's a lot of that happening in Instagram too. These quizzes and all that stuff about are you trying to lose weight? What type of person are you? Blah blah blah. And then they go into this thing and they're like, well, due to your answers, we know that you're a night owl. You
Yeah.
suppose sleep late, so your eating habits are like that. And then they kind of give you that, and then at the end, this is who you are. This is what you represent. We have a product for you. Not interested, but at least I know that there is somebody out there that is that kind of what we're thinking about.
Sort of. The thing is with B2C, I think it's more prone to like scams and people trying to like sell you something you don't really need. But if it we've been using it for B2B, and it works quite well because it's actually like a consulting, right? Like you're actually consulting the client and actually guiding them through like, are you ready for this? Do you have this? What's
And you get something that is, even if you don't purchase, you still get value out of the
You get
conversation.
value out of it, and you're like, okay, well, maybe I do need this, or yeah, my budget's kind of low. Maybe I should talk to my boss about that, or whatever the answer is, right? But at the end of the day, I think it works well because it's not an ad, and it's not just like buy from me, look at us, and it's more like let's see if you're ready. Let me help you, and it's at scale, obviously, because we can do this online and have
B2B, you also got to be a little bit more
yeah.
strategic and professional, you know?
So we're doing this two-part approach, right? We're doing contents where we're positioning ourselves, and it's like pure content, sort of like this what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we're saying, okay, well, let's ask the market and see who might be ready to hire a content agency, for example.
I remember when in my beginning of guerrilla marketing days, we did a promo for vehicles, and it was and then we also did this for Verizon, which is like, oh, are you looking into buying a vehicle this year, next year, in 5 years, and all this stuff. And it was a great tool because yeah, you can say, well, if the person is really not interested in buying a car right now, but he's looking to buy a car in 3 years. When will your ideal time to buy a car would be? Because that was kind of like the main answer. And then you can put it on a frame, and then you have that email. That email you put it in a list cooking for a while, and then 2 years from now you can still plant the seed and say, hey, you want the new Dodge Ram is coming out. Perfect.
Yeah.
Um, so I like that because then you know when the people can be ready. I like the fact that you're giving them value, which is back to the beginning days where you're just like, give me your contact information and I'll give you a PDF on great email marketing strategies.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you always have that trade off.
And
Very
so
Cialdini.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so I think but more than just the quiz, I think the concept that's interesting is the concept of like asking for signals of interest, or asking for just let me know if you want more information, or you would want to participate, or you want to be part of this club, or you don't have to buy like the shares of the club right now. You don't have to buy, like, there's no entry fee. It's just, I just want to know, would you be someone who potentially could want this? And if you collect enough of those sort of signals or intentions, then you can say like, okay, maybe there's something here. Let's try, and those people that said that they would be interested, let's approach them with something that is catered to that interest or that signal that they sent, and then you have a higher probability of closing them because of this Gialdini thing, right? The influence thing, where they've already sort of also said, maybe
Yeah.
publicly, they've said, I'm interested in this, and I signed up for this, or I participated in this, and so there's a consistency sort of falls in there, but you also have like you're also maybe hopefully delivering a product that's really tailored to what they said they wanted, you know, and so it's like sorry.
I think, especially like right now, I'm looking into probably like how do you, one of the things that happens when you open, in an agency world, it's okay. So what is the right size of my client? And then size becomes well, it's a 7 employee, it's a 200,000, it's a $400,000 business. You try to develop the size, and sometimes yeah, you can probably find a pattern and say, well, if I stick to this pattern, I'm safe. But a lot of times you also have those outliers, and it's like, well, this person really did not follow this pattern, but it had another things that really added value to the reason why I'm working with them. Or they're getting the best. It's a great client because they're getting the best out of us, and we are able to provide them. But they're a very unique niche and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you're saying, well, you can actually with these type of systems, you can prime them to see if they are, the best of for your business to manage or be a customer. And if not, you're still again the whole concept of like, I gave you all this information, I get all this value and so on and so forth. Well, would you have to like fight like NDAs, or this is you're saying like, look, this is more for my own business, Castleberry, to know moving forward, or you were thinking about, well, if we find enough patterns, then you can sell that content out to the world, or just data
Oh,
gathering.
I think it would be for your own business or consumption, but I think it's as if I asked you, hey Romulo, would you like to like go on a golf trip? And like, I'm not asking you to go on a golf trip. I'm asking, would you ever be interested in going to something like that? There's totally different questions, right? One is asking you to like decide, here are the dates, here's the price, let's do this. That's a big step. The other is saying, would you ever be interested in something like this? And you might be like, yeah, that sounds like fun, man. Like who? And then I'd ask you like, okay, then who would you like to go with? Like, oh, what about these people? Okay, cool. Have you
Oh,
ever
wait,
thought
wait, are you priming me to? Are you priming
Yes,
me so that I can go on a golf trip?
that's fine.
This is happening.
This is happening. And so when I come back and say, Roman, remember you told me you wanted to do this? I found, the people that you wanted to go with. We're going in, Texas where you said you loved it because the weather was fine. And we're organizing it for this date. Like, well, in your mind, you're like, okay, I did tell Isaac I was interested. Like, well, I should probably live up to the fact that, I said I was interested. That's one, that's consistency from influence. And then also like, wow, this is exactly kind of what I wanted. And, you know,
Or you still spark the interest and be like, well, I wasn't expecting Texas, but I think Arizona would be good. Oh, well, okay, let's.
Yeah. And so it's just what I'm saying is it's a totally different conversation. And I think for next episode, one of the things I think we can talk about is how similar getting clients in a service business, I would say, but also products, but let's just say mainly services, how similar that is to dating. It really is like
No, it is straight up dating.
very, very similar. So you do have to
And
be, and I don't know, there's all these things and we can map it
I
out. So
love the topic. I love the topic. I'll go into. I think I've done something similar, but like with the emotion that comes with it too.
yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you're very desperate about this client, but then sometimes like,
Yeah,
okay, it's like,
and they're like, "Oh, okay, this guy's desperate. Like, there's no way we're hiring him, or that company. Like, they don't have any clients. Like, anyway, we can save that for next episode. Do that
awesome.
next week.
Thank
Good.
you very much, and stay
Yeah.
safe.